Hey everyone. Ready to tackle that inner voice that's always telling us we're not good enough?
Yeah, that inner critic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into the world of ego and how to keep it from, well, sabotaging us.
Sabotaging us, yeah.
We're using this great summary from Coffee and Book's Breakdown of Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I'm already finding it super insightful. So maybe we can start with like a basic definition of ego.
Yeah, sure. The video emphasizes that ego is actually way more complex than just being arrogant or full
Right.
of yourself.
hmm
It's more like
It's a deeper thing.
yeah, it's like a whole system of exaggerated self-perceptions,
hmm
like a distorted lens that we're seeing the world through.
So it's not just like strutting around thinking you're the best.
Right, right.
It's more subtle.
Much more subtle.
Okay, so how does this distorted lens mess us up?
Well, in a lot of ways. But one of the things the video talks about is this idea of strategic silence.
Hmm.
Yeah, it sounds counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but apparently talking about our goals too much can actually backfire.
Really? I always thought like visualizing success was a good thing.
It can be.
Right.
But the video uses this great example of Upton Sinclair,
Oh, yeah.
the author.
Didn't he run for governor at one point?
Yeah, he did. And he wrote this whole book laying out all his plans, even going as far as describing his achievements.
Like they had already happened. Kind of
Exactly.
jumping the gun a bit.
Yeah, big time. He basically celebrated victory before he'd even started the race.
Oh, wow. So how'd that work out for him?
Not, well, unsurprisingly.
I bet.
By talking so much about it, he tricked his mind into this false sense of accomplishment.
So he was less motivated to actually put in the work.
Exactly. It's like talking became a substitute for doing.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And the video also highlights Colonel John Boyd.
Wait, wasn't he a fighter pilot?
Yeah.
A pretty famous one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he developed all these groundbreaking military strategies, but he was super low-key.
Like, didn't want any of the recognition or...
Right. He didn't care about rank or public praise.
Really?
He just focused on, training and developing others,
Hmm.
making a real difference behind the scenes.
So it was all about impact for him.
Totally. Sincerity and authenticity.
Hmm. Those are some powerful antidotes to ego.
Absolutely. Not seeking external validation, but aligning actions with genuine intentions.
I love that. It's about being driven by a deeper purpose, not just chasing recognition.
Yeah, exactly. And this leads to another key point the video makes.
Continuous learning.
Right. No matter how much we achieve, there's always room to grow.
Yeah.
They use the example of Kirk Hammett from Metallica.
Kirk Hammett still taking lessons,
Yeah.
even after all that success.
Even after selling millions of albums and becoming a global rock star.
I mean, I would have thought he was way past needing a teacher.
Right. But that's the thing. He recognized that there was still more to learn.
Wow, that's really humbling.
And
It's like no matter how good you get, there's always somebody who can teach you something new.
Exactly. And the video talks about how dangerous complacency can be.
Complacency, yeah, that's when we think we know it all, right?
Exactly. When we believe we've reached the peak.
We stop growing.
Right. But the video also warns about something called early pride.
Ah, early pride, yeah. What's the danger there?
Yeah, it can really trip us up. The video tells this funny anecdote about Benjamin Franklin.
Oh, I love Benjamin Franklin stories.
Apparently, when he was a young man, he had a bit of an ego.
Oh, I bet.
He was quite proud of his financial success.
Classic. Let him get to his head a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So one day, he's walking down the street, totally full of himself,
Uh-huh.
and he doesn't notice this low-hanging beam.
Oh, no, I can see where this is going.
And bam, he walks right into it, bumps his head hard.
Ouch.
And this minister, Cotton Mather, sees the whole thing. And he says to Franklin, your head has risen to the point where it was inevitable to collide.
Oh, man. What a burn, but also what a great lesson in humility. Did Franklin take it to heart?
He did. It was a real turning point for him.
Hmm.
He realized how his pride had blinded him.
Mm.
And from then on, he was much more mindful of his ego.
So even when we achieve success, it's crucial to stay grounded.
Absolutely. Early victories don't mean we're invincible.
Right. But what about when we're already successful? How do we avoid becoming complacent and letting our ego get in the way? I know the video talks about Bill Walsh,
Oh, yeah.
the legendary football coach.
Oh, he's a great example.
What can we learn from him?
Well, he really understood that sustainable success requires constant effort and improvement.
Makes sense. You can't just rest on your laurels.
Exactly. He knew that talent was just the starting point.
Right.
It was the effort and the commitment that really made the difference.
So it's not enough to just be naturally gifted.
Right. And as the 49ers started winning,
Yeah. They were on a roll.
they were. Some players started to get a little too confident.
Oh, I bet Walsh didn't like that.
He didn't. He knew it was a slippery slope.
Yeah, you start celebrating too early, thinking you've already reached the peak.
Exactly.
Silly.
It is. And that's what happened. Their focus waned, discipline slipped.
Then they started losing.
They did.
Yeah.
It's a classic example of how mistaking temporary success for ultimate victory can backfire.
It's a good reminder to never get complacent,
Right.
to keep pushing ourselves even when things are good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this leads to another interesting idea. The video explores the concept of negative time versus positive time.
Negative time.
Yeah.
Positive time.
Have you ever thought about time in that way?
Not really. What's the difference?
Well, think of negative time as those periods when we're kind of stuck, passively waiting for things to happen.
Oh, okay.
It's time wasted on unproductive thoughts.
Procrastination.
Yeah, or just going through the motions without any real purpose.
So like when I spend hours scrolling through social media.
Exactly. Or binge watching shows when you have a million things to do.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that.
But positive time is different. It's time invested in learning growth.
Meaningful action.
Yes. It's about actively pursuing our goals.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
Okay, so like taking a class to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Or working on a project I'm passionate about.
Those are great examples. And you know, the video uses Malcolm X
Oh, yeah.
as a powerful example of someone who turned negative time into positive time.
Spent time in prison, right?
He did. And he could have easily just given in to despair.
Yeah.
But instead, he used that time for intense learning.
He read a ton of books, I think.
He did. He devoured books, studied history, philosophy,
Oh.
and he emerged from prison a completely changed man.
That's really incredible. He turned a really negative situation into an opportunity for growth.
Exactly. And I think the takeaway here is that even in challenging situations, we have a choice. We can let circumstances define us.
Or we can use them as fuel.
Right. And it's not just about external
It's
circumstances.
got our mindset, too.
Exactly. We can choose to wallow in negativity.
Or we can look for opportunities to learn and grow.
And remember, positive time doesn't have to be these big, grand gestures.
It can be small things we do every day.
Right. Reading a few pages of a book.
Practicing a skill.
Yeah. Or even just taking a walk to clear your head.
I like that. Small, consistent actions.
And you know, the video goes on to talk about another danger.
Which is?
Letting our pride influence our decisions during tough times.
Oh, yeah, that sounds dangerous.
It can be. When we're feeling vulnerable, our ego can really lead us astray.
It's like our judgment gets clouded.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they use the story of John DeLorean to illustrate this point.
DeLorean the car guy.
Yep. He was a brilliant engineer.
Yeah, those cars were so cool.
There were. But his company ran into some serious financial trouble.
What happened?
Well, instead of facing the situation with humility,
He let his pride get in the way.
he did. And in a desperate attempt to save his company,
He made some bad decisions.
he did. He got involved in a drug deal.
No way.
Yeah, he was arrested.
Wow.
His reputation was ruined.
What a downfall. It really shows how dangerous it can be to let ego cloud our judgment.
It does,
Yeah.
especially when we're already facing setbacks.
So it's important to remember our values, even when things are tough.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Integrity and responsible decision-making are crucial,
No matter what.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And this brings us to the final point the video makes.
Okay, what's that?
The importance of depth of commitment and sincere giving.
Okay.
They use the example of Belisarius.
Gullisaurus.
Yeah, he was a brilliant Byzantine general
Okay.
who achieved all these incredible victories.
So he was a war hero.
He was. But he faced a lot of injustice and betrayal.
Wait, so even though he was a hero, he was treated badly.
He was. The Emperor Justinian became jealous of his fame,
Oh, wow.
and he stripped Belisarius of his honors,
What?
his wealth, even his sight.
That's awful.
It is. Belisarius ended up begging on the streets.
What a tragic ending.
It is. But what's remarkable is that despite all of this,
Belisarius never became bitter or resentful.
Really?
Yeah. He understood that true fulfillment came from his commitment to his duty.
it wasn't about the rewards or the recognition.
Right. It was about giving his best.
So it's about focusing on the intrinsic value of our efforts.
Exactly. Recognition and accolades are fleeting.
Yeah.
But true fulfillment comes from knowing we've given our all.
I like that. It's about finding satisfaction in the journey itself.
Exactly. What do you think?
It really is. It's a good reminder to focus on what really matters, like the impact we make and the values we hold on to.
Exactly. And what I find so valuable about this whole, exploration of ego is that it doesn't just focus on the negative.
Right.
It actually gives us some strategies.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, for example, that idea of strategic silence.
Oh, yeah. Not talking about our goals too much.
Exactly. I think we can all benefit from, thinking twice before we broadcast every single idea or intention.
Yeah, I know. I'm totally guilty of that. I get excited about something,
Yeah.
and I want to tell everyone I get it.
But maybe it's better to just let the work speak for itself.
I think so. And then there's the whole idea of always being a student,
Right.
no matter how much we achieve.
Staying curious,
Yeah,
finding mentors, being open to new ideas.
those are all key to keeping our ego in check.
It's about approaching life with more humility
Mm-hmm.
and less, thinking we have all the answers.
Definitely. And remember that story about Benjamin Franklin and the low-hanging beam?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It's such a good reminder that early pride can blind us.
It can make us think we're invincible.
And that's when we're most vulnerable.
Exactly. So as we
Yeah.
the importance of continuous learning.
And the dangers of letting ego sabotage our path.
Right. A huge thanks to Coffee and Book for their awesome breakdown of Ryan Holiday's Ego is the Enemy. It was a great jumping off point for this conversation.
It really was.
Be sure to check out their channel if you haven't already. And to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Be sure to subscribe for more deep dives into all sorts of fascinating topics. Until next time.